and like I'll go to one of these parties, and I'll end up talking to some schmuck that I don't want to talk to, and like I can't just be like, dude, I'm done talking now. I don't want to talk about this nothingness with you.
Yeah.
So you can't do that because I get in trouble when I do that. So now what I do is I just try to convince that guy that I'm convinced that the Earth is flat, and he leaves me alone. Like I just start like spouting all the YouTube like rhetoric, and like the guy's like, oh, okay, bye. I'm like, yes, dude.
That's good.
Every time. It's so rough.
That's funny. Or you can start like you can start like preaching to him or something too. Though.
Some of them are on board with that.
Take the religious.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Some of them are like, amen, and I'm like, not what I like. All of a sudden, you got a Klan rally or some shit going on. I'm like, dude, I'm good.
you gotta figure out the part they don't like and be like, oh, I like that part.
Yeah, well, but you got to do it in such a way to where like A, they're not going to tell my girl and she's going to get all bent out of shape, and B, it's not going to be like, oh, this guy's being an asshole.
Oh, that's true.
Like, because that's usually I'll just berate the person or belittle them, and like then we're done. But that person's sad now, and I'm the dick. I don't want to do that. Or they're like, oh, your boyfriend's such an asshole, and I don't want that either because that makes my life difficult at home. So I have to do it in such a way that they think that they're worried they're being the asshole for not talking to me now. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
That's how you
got
to do it.
Yeah.
So right now I'm doing mostly web development. I work for a small company that does like custom web applications for like a lot of business-to-business applications, like for manufacturing mostly. But we do a couple other things too. It's all in PHP with like Postgres. It's all boring computer stuff. But yeah, it's cool. I used to be a chef, but after I don't know, like 15 years of doing that for money, I was like, yeah, I gotta figure something else out.
Yeah, it's a tough business.
Yeah.
Unless you open a restaurant, it's still tough. But
yeah, it's still tough. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the way to go if you're gonna stay in that.
Yeah.
So I know you're a good comedian. What got you into comedy, and where does that fit into all the other stuff you do?
I've always loved comedy. Like growing up, like my parents are super religious, so I wasn't really allowed to listen to like a lot of music or anything. Okay. But it was like easier for some reason to like sneak CDs of comedy albums. I don't know why it was easier, but like they just fell through the cracks more. So like Lewis Black, I had a bunch of his. Dave Attell, Shanks for the Memories was one of them. What was it? Mitch Eckbert's Doubletree was another one. Nice. And so I would just listen to those like all day, and I really, really dug it. And I was living near Charlotte at the time, and then when I moved out of my parents' house, I was like, I'm at 17. But after like I was old enough to go to a comedy club to get in, I went like a couple of times to the Comedy Zone in Charlotte back when it was in Matthews, and was like trying to get the nerve up to go on stage. I never did. And then I moved here. And well, I was living in Mebane actually, but I was working in Greensboro, and there was an open mic at the Comedy Zone on Thursdays, and there was an open mic at the 80 Box on Tuesdays. So I would just like come to work, and instead of going home, I would just go do that and then go home. Yeah. And that's when I started, and it was fun. I really.
How old were you then?
I was like 24, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Now you are a good comic. So have you thought about just pursuing comedy or?
Yeah, so before I decided to go back to school to get my degree, I had a bunch of money saved up from working in restaurants and whatnot. So the plan was either go back to school and get a degree, or like live in my car and pursue comedy.
Right.
But I've been dating this girl for like, I don't know, a little over a year, and things were going well, and that just wasn't gonna fly. Right. So I was like, all right, fuck it.
How'd the girl work turn out?
Good. I'm still. I mean, it was 11 years ago.
Nice.
Still
together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Made the right decision.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see.
Well, I guess all the decisions are the right decision.
Yeah.
In the moment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she's cool. It's just like she's a no nonsense lady. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna live in my car and tell jokes. She's like, don't be an idiot.
Right. No, you're gonna be stable.
She's like, listen, you can do the little comedy thing all you want. She's like, I'll support you while you go back to school, but I'm not gonna support you while you do comedy. That's not gonna happen.
I'm not gonna support your homelessness.
No. Yeah. That was a lot of fun, and that's the part I like more than anything else. Just writing the jokes. Like going on stage, I don't really care about. I just like bullshitting and writing the jokes and bullshitting with comics.
I enjoy the writing too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
That's like we used to do writing groups at my house back in the day, and like those were the most fun. Like we pick like 5 or 6 guys, and we would sit around and bullshit and talk about nothing for like 5 hours. Like, you know, the differences between cake and pie, or like, you know, like what does it really mean? And it was great. And that was like the most fun. Or like I really like to like punching up other people's jokes.
Yeah.
Like especially if like, because there's always like the times where you're in a writing group or whatever, and somebody's trying to punch up your joke, but they're not considering like your voice or your point of view, so they're like rewriting your joke for them.
Right.
And it's like, dude, that's not what this is about. Like, and it's really fun to like actually put yourself in somebody else's point of view and write the joke from their perspective. And like when they hear whatever you say and they're like, oh, dude, that does work. Like that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
I really dig that. So
It's cool you said point of view too. It's
Yeah.
all point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah, any art.
Yeah. Like, do you know Leo Hodson? Did you ever meet Leo?
Yeah, I've met Leo.
Yeah. So Leo's a really good friend of mine,
Real funny
and he's so funny. Like, he's got one of the darkest sense of humor you've ever seen, but he won't like do any of it on stage.
Oh.
So like, whenever we're in a writing group, like I would do like 1 or 2 of like punches in like the dark version of Leo, and then like the PG version. He's like, I really like the dark ones, but let's take those. Let's take the PG ones.
So I started in acting over 10 years ago. So.
Have I seen you in anything?
Possibly. I don't really watch the shows I've been in, but like FBI and NCIS.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm a huge NCIS fan. Awesome. Which I'll have to find
New
out.
Orleans, yeah.
All right, I'll have to find which.
I've done some guest star spots.
Nice.
I'm the guy that starts out the episode and gets shot or murdered
Nice.
or murders someone else.
Nice.
Arrested. Yeah, so you may have saw me on that.
You were in Walking Dead though too, Neil, right?
Yeah, but I didn't. I don't do. I don't do roles where I have no lines. I only do guest star roles. But I did do a spot on, or take a job on Walking Dead. It was a guest star spot, but I had no dialogue. I was.
You were a zombie.
Well, I wasn't a zombie.
Oh.
I was one of the. What are those guys called? It was
You were like a peacekeeper or something.
Yeah, I can't
And
remember.
you got-
I
you
can't
got
remember the title of those characters, but it was like a subgroup within the
Okay,
Walking Dead series. And I was one of those guys, and I'd been attacked. Like one of the other dudes in our group had left me for dead, and so I was in the scene where some drama was happening with zombies and stuff, and then I got eaten.
Oh no.
But I got paid a lot of money for that spot, so I took
Got
it.
mauled on camera. I hope you got paid.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
But usually I'll just do guest star roles, so I have a few lines, and it's an actual acting
Yeah.
gig.
And how'd you just pursued that? Like, how'd you get into that? Did you like start in like voiceover, or you knew somebody, or?
I studied at an acting school in Charlotte.
Oh, nice.
The Actors Lab. They're actually out of L.A. And now my buddy Pat actually took over the franchise there and bought out that franchise, and he has his own studio there now called Dortch Studios.
No, nice.
And he's a really good actor, so it's a good school. Still the same. We studied together, and it's a good curriculum.
Nice.
Just teaches you how to make choices and have a strong point of view, and how to not act.
Yeah.
Yeah. This comedy's the same. It's if you're reciting lines, it just sounds robotic and fake, and it's
Yeah, if you're reciting lines you don't believe in.
it's disingenuous.
Like,
yeah, you've got to really believe in what you're saying.
Yeah, I
and
stick
have
to
a
the script,
strong-
but I believe it wholeheartedly. It's
Right.
my manifesto. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, so I think that was a big advantage, starting in acting and then transitioning into comedy, because I've always been a comedy fan, but I grew up in a small town, grew up poor. It's like all that stuff seems impossible. It seems like stuff that you just don't do if you're from this small community or whatever. It's like it's unattainable.
Yeah.
But then as you get older, you realize there's people like you,
Yeah,
and if you're an artist and you feel the need to express yourself, and you're willing to put in the work to learn how to articulate those ideas and express yourself that way, then you can do it. It's just, it may be more difficult if you're not in a big market.
Yeah.
Although
sometimes it's more difficult, but like one of the things I noticed when I moved here and like I was doing mics here and mics in Charlotte or shows here and shows in Charlotte is like it's a smaller market here, but like because of that you didn't have like all the like competition between the comics. Like it was more supportive.
right,
And there was more like, yes, there was more shows and whatnot in Charlotte, but there was like more opportunity for longer sets here because everybody was cool. Like there was no like this guy can't come on my show, that guy can't come on my show. Everybody was like
Right.
real laid back with it. So like it's like catch-22. Like yes, maybe like you would get in front of people who could help you progress faster in a bigger market, but you're gonna, like we said earlier, like have a better opportunity to build the fundamentals and really like hone your craft maybe in a smaller market where like the pressure's not really there, number one, and like everybody just wants you to do well.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Greensboro has a good market. It has a good comedy scene.
Yeah,
It's a very supportive scene, and a lot of good comics.
Yep.
A lot of great comics have come out of that scene too. And
Oh, yeah.
they're doing pretty big things now. But so that is true, and I'm happy that I started in this scene in comedy in stand up. But also, I'm married. I have a child. I have
Yeah.
a business. I have responsibilities. So it's, for me, I can't just move to. I'm at a place now, I think, in stand up where I could move to a bigger market and it would serve me well, but I just can't do that. So I have to I have to figure it out here, and then figure out how to make this something bigger. And I think with a studio and just continually doing local shows. I do a lot of shows in Virginia now. There's some cool stuff happening up there in the smaller comedy scene, but they have good venues and good audiences, and you can pick up some followers and stuff. So, I think I guess as an artist, you just want to express yourself. You want people to appreciate that expression, but also you eventually want to reach larger numbers of people.
Yeah,
and that's where it becomes more difficult in a smaller community like this, smaller region. But I think that's changing rapidly. The world seems to be getting smaller and smaller.
Indeed.
So, and also I would imagine with autonomy and some of the new technologies that are on their way, I think a lot of these dynamics will change. I think smaller communities will be more appealing to the masses.
Yeah,
and I think humans are going to start just spreading out more anyway, because if suddenly your vehicle is just an extension of your office, or you don't even need to be in an office, you just have you seen the new Apple headset? The VR. So Apple has a new AR VR headset that just came out. I think it just was released this month, and it's like $3,500, so it's not easily accessible to most people, but it's basically a MacBook Pro on your face.
Yeah.
So it's got an M processor chip in it, and it's got another they call it H chip, which controls I think all of the cameras and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And the whatever radar it uses, but it's just a nice, sleek looking headset, and it's pretty slim, and the face of it is actually a screen, an LED screen. I think it's an OLED screen, and if you're using AR, where you can see everything around you, then it displays your eyes on that screen. Yeah. It looks just like you're wearing clear goggles, and you can see straight through it. But it's really just a projection of your eyes, but it's in such high resolution, it looks real.
Nice.
And it's real time too, so you're blinking and interacting with other people. And then if you go into full immersion into VR, then it clouds over with this like psychedelic, colorful display to let people know that you're somewhere else.
Yeah, not here right now.
Right. Yeah.
Very nice.
But with that kind of technology, we could be having this conversation. It could feel pretty similar to this right here, and not even be here, be at home. Yeah. And I think we'll start seeing that more with comedy and everything, entertainment in general. Have you done any had any VR experiences?
I have not.
So there are actually comedy clubs in VR now.
Yeah, I've heard. I've read a little bit about it, and I've heard some about it.
I wouldn't do it, but
I mean, I would do it.
Not yet.
Whatever.
I wouldn't do open mics in VR because people just be stealing your material. But
nobody's gonna steal my material. Nobody wants it. So like, whatever, dude. Have a good time. Like, do a bunch of redneck jokes.
I don't know that it matters, but there's so much crossover now and so many similar ideas. But yeah, I can see a very near future where people just don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically there now. It doesn't feel like you are at the place,
Right. Yeah.
Like one of the main reasons I went into tech or like computer software is because like I didn't want to have to leave the house. Yeah. I hate driving.
Oh, so you work remotely now?
Yeah, I work from home.
Nice.
Today's the first day I've left the house in weeks. I hate driving. It's my least favorite thing. Okay. So like that was a big part of it. And like, yeah, I can do everything I can do at the office from home. 9 times out of 10, I'm way more productive. But when there's meetings and stuff, like if I'm not there in person, like,
That's where this technology, I think, will be real beneficial.
That's
because you can have a meeting with someone and it really will feel like you're there.
Yeah.
So you get that same eye contact experience and but it's just more convenient. Yeah. You can be in different parts of the world and have a very effective meeting. Yeah, so that's cool. And then, I think also pretty soon our technology is going to be doing most things for us. So that's
some of it, yeah. I think people might be a little bit ahead of themselves with how quick AI is going to advance and do a lot of things for us. But
I don't know, man. A lot of the stuff I'm following, it looks like it's going to be the other way around, like we're not even prepared for it.
Well, so I guess it depends on what, we're for basic processes that are the same every time, maybe. But like general artificial intelligence or real artificial intelligence, I think we've got a little bit of time. Like, them like rising up and taking over or like wiping out people.
I'm not too worried about that yet.
Yeah.
But I do follow some of the top experts in AI, and Are you familiar with Dr. Alan Thompson?
I'm not.
He goes around and speaks to a lot of the Fortune 500 companies and just other corporations and organizations about AI and the rapid developments in AI and just he's sort of like the AI news guy, but he's on a more academic level.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be a big guy with Mensa,
Okay.
like Mensa's family something, but a lot of experts like him, they're saying they think we're going to reach AGI within 2 years, less than 2 years.
I mean, maybe, but like
I don't think they know what. I don't know if we know what that means really.
I mean, most of what they're calling AI now is just very high level machine learning and like natural language processing.
Well, it's really just intelligence. It's not really artificial intelligence. It's just a form of intelligence because it is designed. It's highly inspired by the way humans learn, like the way these neural networks are designed.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of the things that these language models are doing, they're sort of novel results. Like it's kind of like they built the thing, and they're like, okay, this is the start button, so go.
Yeah.
And then let's just see what it can do.
Right. But they're not like, from what I can tell anyway, like they're not really like tuning it or, adjusting the model that much.
I think this is kind of limited on what they can do with it. I mean, they can definitely put filters on the outside of it. So, certainly the model we're accessing or the version of the model we're accessing is running through a filter.
Right.
Some type of a filtration or guidance system. But I've also heard experts talk about interacting with directly with the main models, and they're pretty amazing. Like this, have you done much interaction with AI?
I mean, so when I was in school, I had to take a bunch of classes on it and do like code a bunch of stuff for machine learning and AI.
Yeah,
which wasn't anything like super high level, and it was cool. And then I've done like a little bit of the ChatGPT or the whatever OpenAI stuff, like prompted or whatever. But like that's what I'm talking about. Is that type of stuff is more machine learning, web scraping, natural language processing. Like you put in the prompts and you have to put them in clearly, and then basically all it's doing is taking your prompt and deconstructing it and then searching the web, mostly GitHub if it's computer related, and finding things that match X amount of words in your prompt to get a certain score. And then they can adjust like the score threshold.
Yeah.
Right. So like, the last result you returned was a score 80 and it was way off. So now we wanted to be like, don't return anything less than a 97. Things like that.
Yeah.
Like when I was in school, I had to do this big data machine learning project where basically, and it's pretty common. It's on I don't know if you know that website Towards Data Science. It's like, I don't know, it's a big data science website. They have a bunch of projects and shit on there. But basically like you get a data set of 1,000 pictures of fruit and vegetables, right? And basically what you do is you write a program and you feed this thing images, and it breaks it all down into like a feature space and feature vectors, and then converts like all those little squares of the image into a numerical value. And based on that and some different regression models, once you start feeding it more pictures, it will be able to predict, oh, this is an apple, this is a banana, this is an avocado, this is whatever. But before you get to that point, you have to give it training data, and then you have to evaluate the training data and tweak the model. And that part, from what I can see anyway, for ChatGPT and OpenAI, maybe that part was done a little bit at the beginning, but nobody's gone back and adjusted it further once it got all this new input from all these people using it.
So what they're doing now, from my understanding, and my favorite model to use currently is Google's Bard.
Oh, I haven't used that at all.
It's really it's very human-like. I enjoy the way it interacts with you. I do catch it giving you inaccurate information occasionally, and if you question it about it, or if you correct it, or say, hey, I think that this information is inaccurate, or there's some discrepancy in what you've provided me with, and it'll correct itself, and it'll say, oh, you're correct, this is actually how this should be, or whatever, which is pretty interesting. But I think from what I understand, the way they've trained these models is they take these massive data sets, I guess billions of weights of data, and they I guess just expose it to all this data over a 6-month period. So it's just running through all of this information, and like all of our literature and science and just all this data, and it develops an understanding of the information, and so it has the ability to reason and be creative, and that's what's really strange about these models.
Right, but that has to be based on something. That has to be based on, like, so it can, let's say it reads, a book of the Bible.
Well, the way the base way it works is that it's just guessing the next best word to complete a sentence or an idea.
Oh, okay.
So, which is basically
That's
what
pattern
we're
recognition.
doing. Yeah, it's what we're doing. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's just so it's and that's why I think that's why it's so good at it, because it is pretty much what we do. We absorb all these ideas and all this information. We're constantly absorbing data from our environment and from other sources, and then we articulate and express these ideas and this data. So when we're having a conversation, we're just our mind is automatically putting in the next best word to express an idea or articulate an idea, and it seems that these AI models are doing the same thing, and now they're testing these models on human tests, and they're outscoring most humans. I know on the psychology exam they scored 100%, or a couple of the top models scored 100%, which means they're so intelligent in that area that we can't even measure the intelligence.
Right, but that's not intelligence though, because it's been fed this data, so it's basically searching its own database or its own history.
What's not searching it is it's gone. So they expose it to the data for like 6 months, then they take it all away. It still has now some of the like the Google model has access to the internet. I'm sure it's heavily restricted, but it has access to the internet.
Heavily restricted.
Well, there are restrictions to its access.
Not for input, probably for output.
And they restrict their memory also. They don't have they have a very limited style of memory, which we do too. So, but I know with Google, I know their model learns as it interacts with humans. GPT may be a little more restricted on what it can retain or learn, but from my understanding, the data that these models are trained on is taken away from them once they're trained. So they learn. It's a similar way that humans learn. It's a neural network. It's an artificial neural network, and it when it's exposed to the information, it learns from it. But then that information is taken away. The data set's taken away, but the information is still retained within the model. But the models aren't that big.
It basically boils it down into a formula. Basically like a function, right?
Kind of like an understanding, sort of.
To an extent, yes.
Yeah.
But so basically that's what I was talking about earlier, the training data, right?
Right.
So you feed it all this data, training data, and then basically at the end of the day, what you get is for the project I did was you get a linear regression equation, which is a formula based on the numerical data that represents the different pixels in the image, right? Fed through this, we can predict accurately what the picture is. It's the same basic concept with words or whatever.
Which is probably what we do.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I think too, if you had the average person, whatever, and you were trying to talk to them about something that they had an opinion on, but they weren't very educated, and you put them up against a incorrectly educated or a poorly educated AI, the undereducated person would be able to more accurately articulate their opinion than the AI would, and that's the difference, is the ability to deduce with a lack of knowledge that I think the AIs just don't have at this point. That's just my opinion. I don't fucking know anything, but
yeah. Well, the most recent testing I've seen with these models, they test them on all the major tests, the human exams,
like the Turing. Oh, yeah. But that's still just pattern recognition.
Yeah. So but it's kind of like that's what we do though. But it's exposure and retention and understanding. But they these models they come up with novel things too though, and that's what's interesting about it. They can. It's almost like if you expose them to all of our information and they can see it all simultaneously, or they have such a powerful. It's such a powerful system that it can be aware of all of these different concepts simultaneously. So when it's articulating an idea or trying to figure out something or solve a problem, it can do it in a more broad way than a human can, because it's kind of like all the humans solving the problem together.
Yeah.
It's like an expression of the collective consciousness, maybe. It's kind of how I think of it. But they're scoring so high on these tests, though. They're scoring 98th, 99th percentile on all these tests. So they're at the level of understanding of the highest level of humans. And when these systems, and they're rapidly training these systems in physical reality too, through robotics. And so I think, this year you'll have AI-powered humanoid robots and other types of robotic arms and robotic equipment that actually operates on these AI models. So you have these AI models that are interacting with the physical reality, and that's a big change. So that's why I think they believe that AGI will be attained sometime in 2025, because they'll be able to do everything we can do, at least on a human level, and on like an expert human level, and maybe beyond by then. So that's I don't see any, from what I've read and seen from experts, I don't see anything that humans do that these models won't be able to do in just a few years, unless it doesn't work the way they think it will. There could always be like another hurdle that they just don't see, an unknown.
Do you think as a society that we will be able to handle it elegantly, or gracefully?
Do we handle anything elegantly?
No, we don't.
So I'm definitely worried about it. I think we're not very proactive.
No,
we're very reactive, and so and plus we're controlled by sociopaths and opportunists. So I feel like I'm an irrationally optimistic person because I'm an entrepreneur. But I see the flaw in that. So I feel, part of me feels terrified about the not so distant future, but for some reason I'm very optimistic about it.
Do you have yourself a little chunk of land somewhere with a bunker on it, a little freedom compound in case
I
shit
don't,
hits
but
the fan?
I probably should.
Yeah, you should, dude.
Yeah.
You're well-to-do. You own your own business. You should definitely have a little freedom compound, man.
If it gets that bad, I don't know if I want to survive it.
You just be out there growing your food, hanging out with your family. You got a family? You guys have a good time.
Yeah, until the marauders show up and take all our shit and kill us.
Well, that brings me back to what me and Tom were talking about, having a strong perimeter, bro.
It's got to be a really strong perimeter.
And have your fun. Keep everybody honest.
Don't you want to go out with a bang at least or something, Neil? I mean,
I would, yeah.
I don't know. I think
if that happens, I'd rather just the planet get hit by a meteorite or something. That would be the best. Or just nuclear war. You just destroy everything. So you don't feel it.
I don't know. I want like a couple of months of like glorified camping. You know what I mean? Like I like the outdoors. I want a couple of months of not having to work and like being able to chill outside and have a fire before everything goes bad.
Dude, I'm an amputee, man. If
that
happens, I'm fucked.
You'll be all right. You can just hang out.
Yeah, just try to not move as little as possible.
Dude, if you had like a nice, I don't know, even like 20 acres in the middle of nowhere, you had a nice little cabin on it with all the equipment, like now everybody out in the country, they got like tractors and four-wheelers and off-roaders and all that shit. With a little bit of that, you just hang out, have a good time for a couple weeks, and then you can get hit by a meteor.
I could do it. I mean, I grew up poor in the country, so I could survive, but I have to have a new leg made every couple of years.
Right, I just said a couple of months, we'll be all right. You can get your new leg.
I'll do great for about 3 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe 5.
And then we can get smacked with a meteor.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Then one of you guys can just whack me in the back of the head with a rock, and
no,
I won't know.
You're all right.
Neil's starting to slow us up.
I'll tell you about the rabbits, or whatever that says in the Grapes of... Was that Grapes of Wrath he shows on the rabbits?
What was it?
That slow kid in the book, and then he's like, I'll teach you about the rabbits, and then he takes him in the woods and shoots him in the back of the head.
What book is that?
It's Grapes of Wrath, right?
Oh, Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
I haven't read it.
Yeah. Well, you got time before the meteor comes, I guess.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
I don't know. Didn't the meteor just hit Germany or something? Like
I don't know.
like a small one like exploded in Germany's atmosphere or
Yeah,
something. I
it's
think.
Really?
I thought I saw something about that.
Oh,
The other
I
day.
know
I could be
one-
wrong. I just scroll through my Google feed. I don't ever click on anything. The only thing I click on is advertisements for camping gear, or like those bushcraft survival videos where it's like some dude making a hut in the middle of the jungle.
Oh yeah,
And
those
then
are
I'm like,
cool.
oh, we'll
Those are
watch
good
that.
videos,
Yeah, I'll watch that all day.
I know one of those airbursts happened in Russia a few years back.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago.
That was
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
Airburst.
Yeah.
yeah, that was.
What's an airburst?
It's when a meteor explodes in the air.
Yeah, so it like knocked all those trees over and whatnot. Yeah.
Well, that was the Tunguska one was huge back in like
The 80s, right, or the 90s?
no, that was like 19.
Was that like the
18
loudest
or
sound ever?
19.
Oh no,
10.
there's one from like the 80s or 90s where they got caught on a dashboard cam.
Okay.
That I've seen where like then they look out and like there's all these trees that are just like knocked over.
Wow.
It's like Russia or Siberia or something. I don't
There
know.
was a big one just a few years ago. I think it was 2000. It may have been 2009 or
Yeah.
2012 or something in Russia where
It's
you
always Russia.
you can see it. It's like just this bright glowing
looks like a missile.
missile asteroid coming in and then it just blows up over the city and it shatters windows out of buildings and it does some pretty significant damage. I mean it's a lot better than if it hit the ground, but
Yeah.
it was still spectacular.
People saw it coming. They're like, oh no, I didn't even get to camp yet.
Yeah, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude, I still gotta hike the AT.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. I've been digging in lately, going on these ancient Egypt rabbit holes.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever done that? Like, looked into that
Not
stuff?
really. I've listened to like all the Graham Hancock and
Yeah, he's a fascinating dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
and what's the other guy's name? Randall
Carlson.
Carlson. I've listened to all their stuff on like Rogan and whatever.
It's crazy you guys are talking about Egyptologists. You guys didn't say one Mohammed in there or something. You guys' name were Gary or what were their names?
No, it was Graham. Well, I mean, they're not the only ones.
Yeah.
They're just like the two. I
Graham
guess.
Hancock's a really good journalist, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Writer.
But yeah, that stuff was really cool.
Fascinating. Yeah, it looks like there was an advanced civilization before.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Probably further than 12,000 years ago. Yeah, maybe as far back as 50,000 years. Who knows? But if you really fall into that ancient Egypt rabbit hole, though,
It'll blow your mind.
yeah, it's unbelievable. The precision technology that a civilization had to make some of that stuff
Yeah.
was certainly not the people that we know of.
No.
They didn't have those
I mean,
tools.
dude, it took me 3 months to get my HVAC unit changed. Like, I couldn't imagine if they had to build something.
Dude, they have statues over there in Egypt that are like, I don't know, they weigh 1,000 tons or something.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And these things are massive, and they're precision carved with some kind of like CNC type machine. It's unbelievable. Like,
Yeah,
it's
and they're like, oh, no, we just had a bunch of slaves drag it from
There's
40
this-
miles away. I'm like, bro, there's no way.
No,
Malnourished
impossible.
slaves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
impossible.
Okay, dude.
Granite too, like one of the hardest stones, and stuff that's harder than granite. The thing that really got my attention though, several months back, was I saw this little documentary about these stone vases from Egypt, and they have this stoneware from ancient Egypt, and this stuff is like unbelievably perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it's to the 2,000ths of an inch in precision, and we can barely make stuff like that now. And the way these vases and pots and stuff are made, they have these like handle nibs on them on the sides of them. We couldn't even machine that today. We don't have the tooling to make these things today. And the stone is so thin on the walls of it that you can shine light through it.
Nice.
It's beautiful, yeah. They found some of these pots in 15,000-year-old grave sites too. So it's obviously it's older than the people that we're crediting for the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and not saying it's different people. It's just something happened, and it took a long time for them to start rebuilding a civilization, and it looks like a lot of the stuff was just inherited.
Yeah.
And,
But like a lot of it was lost too.
right, and then you think about we know that Homo sapiens have been here for over 300,000 years. We're also finding other versions of humans. So who knows how many versions of us there were, and how long Homo sapiens have really been here, and gosh, I mean, look at what we've done just since in our recorded history, which is 5,000-6,000 years. How many times have we reset?
Yeah.
How many times have we reached a level and then gotten wiped out and then had to start over?
Yeah, well, I mean, like it's like what Randall Carlson was like. He shows that one picture of like all these massive potholes on the earth when they got smacked with the rock, and he's like, you don't think that A, this is going to happen again, but B, like you don't think that would fuck something up?
Right.
He's like, you don't think that would wipe out 90% of the people?
Our civilization is so fragile.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just worried about us keeping it together.
Yeah.
Just throwing a giant space rock and we're doomed.
It's over. And like, too, like, when we go through, like, when you look at like the solar system and how we're just like going through these huge, thick things of comets, I'm like, dude, I read something. This was a while ago, but like, they're saying, NASA's saying like how they mapped all the asteroids and we're gonna be fine and all this blah blah blah. I was like, well, they only map ones that are like within however many light years away or
the ones we can map. We've mapped the ones we can map.
Yeah. But I read this thing. I forget where I read it. Where this guy was arguing, he's like, yeah, they've mapped them, but like, he thinks that the way they're mapping asteroids is incorrect because like they use like heat waves, like lasers basically, and like they get the heat signature off of the asteroid, right? Like the asteroid passes by the sun, the asteroid absorbs its heat, and based on its heat signature, that's how you figure out how big it is, how dense it is, whatever. And his whole argument was like, well, dude, not all asteroids are made out of the same stuff. Like some are made of carbon, which is very dark and dense, and then some of it's like made of gold or silver, which reflects light and heat or whatever. So like, if you don't take that into account, then you're not getting an accurate size reading off the heat signature.
Oh.
And he's like, so some of these asteroids could be a lot bigger than we think, and if they are a lot bigger, then technically that would mean they're a lot closer, and like all this shit. And I was just like, okay, great.
That's comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really care when it's over.
Nothing
it's over.
we can do about it.
Nothing we can do about it.
I mean, we should.
I just want to, like I said, have a drink at camp first.
Instead of destroying each other, we should be trying to figure that stuff out. That would be the.
Well, isn't there a bunch of people now who want to mine them? Like, I think that's a good.
That's idea. A good idea. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, because I mean, like, dude, we're running out of shit down here with a quickness.
Yeah.
And like all these rich guys want to be flying up there anyway. Let them, send up something.
Well, we'll send out robots soon.
Yeah.
We're not far from that.
Yeah, and then you drill, like if it's on trajectory for Earth, you drill it, you make it a little bit less dense, and then you nudge it with something and get it out of the way.
Well, I think that's the thought.
Well, no, they're just blowing it up. They don't, they don't extract
anything. Yeah. We want to bring it
Great
home.
movie, by the way. Holds up.
Good one. Yeah, I like that.
It was a good movie.
Yeah. Star-studded cast.
Yeah.
It was good for Aerosmith too.
Yeah.
But I think that they're wanting to do that on the moon, since the moon has such low gravity. They want to build moon bases on the moon, so that way they can launch equipment off the moon much more efficiently, because there's no resistance, or very little. So that'll be interesting.
And there's guys who don't believe the moon is real or that we didn't land on the moon. That's my favorite. Yeah, that and flat earthers. I'm like, yes, dude, I love it.
Those are people who are just really afraid.
Well, I just think it's great.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Like, so my girl, she like likes to go out and like socialize with people. Like all her friends belong to this country club. And she's like, oh, we're gonna go meet them at the club. I'm like, dude, I don't do country clubs. Like, I'm good. And like, I'll go to one of these parties and I'll end up talking to some schmuck that I don't want to talk to. And like, I can't just be like, dude, I'm done talking now. I don't want to talk about this nothingness with you.
Yeah.
So you can't do that because I get in trouble when I do that. So now what I do is I just try to convince that guy that I'm convinced that the Earth is flat, and he leaves me alone. Like I just start like spouting all the YouTube like rhetoric, and like the guy's like, "Oh, okay, bye." I'm like, "Yes, dude,
that's good."
Every time, it's so rough.
That's funny. Or you can start like you start like preaching to him or something too, though.
Some of them are on board with that.
Take the religious. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Some of them are like, "Amen," and I'm like, "Not what I like." All of a sudden, you got a Klan rally or some shit going on. I'm like, "Dude, I'm good."
You gotta figure out the part they don't like and be like, "Oh, I like that part."
Yeah, well, but you got to do it in such a way to where like A, they're not going to tell my girl and she's going to get all bent out of shape, and B, it's not going to be like, "Oh, this guy's being an asshole."
Oh, that's true.
Like, because that's usually I'll just berate the person or belittle them, and like then we're done. But that person's sad now, and I'm the dick. And I don't want to do that. Or they're like, "Oh, your boyfriend's such an asshole," and I don't want that either because that makes my life difficult at home. So I have to do it in such a way that they think that they're worried they're being the asshole for not talking to me now. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
That's how you
got
to do it.
Yeah.
That's a good gambit.
Yeah, so you got to be like, "Oh, no, dude, the Earth's flat," but like you got to say it so passionately that they feel bad about correcting you.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they go off.
Or you just go into real technical stuff about your work.
Yeah, but then sometimes people are like, "No, that ain't how it works," and I'm like, "Dude, you're a goddamn mechanic. How the fuck would you know?" Or like one guy was an oncologist and he was trying to tell me how like AI would never replace him. I was like, "Bro, that's like the one field that AI is like doing." This was like 10 years ago, like doing really good in is like predicting cancer. Or not an oncologist, I'm sorry, a radiologist.
Oh, yeah. That's almost gone, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, dude.
Hopefully we'll find out a way hopefully we'll all just be sort of like AI managers. We'll be like the human bias part of the equation, where it's like, this shit can do all these things for us. It can do anything for us. Let's just make sure it's doing it the way we want it to.
I mean, that's a double-edged sword, though.
Sort of. Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of people.
We
doing
don't
human
do
things
everything the
not
right way.
we should be doing them.
That's correct. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, maybe we should just create a super intelligence and just say, hey, see if
My
you-
thing is like job displacement, like unemployment rate. Like
it's
especially
going to
like,
be
it's going to be through the
immense.
roof.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a way to offset that. I mean, we have a hard enough time
That's the problem. We
keeping
don't.
minimum wage tracking with inflation.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think the whole minimum wage thing is kind of nonsense too. I think from a business perspective, I think pushing for higher minimum wages is a good way to have large corporations become larger. And I'm not saying you don't need higher. I think if you are willing to commit and contribute, 40 hours of your life of your time, which you can't get back, into the system, and to contribute, then you should meet that contribution should be valuable enough to meet your basic needs as a human.
Yeah, totally.
And it can't, all that responsibility can't fall on the company, because if you're a small business, especially like a local business, and you have a cashier that needs to make $30 or $40 an hour, you can't pay them that.
Right.
The business is probably not making enough money to do that, and that business is struggling anyway to compete with these giant corporations.
Right.
And giant corporations are just mindless machines designed to take up as much market share as possible and make as much money as possible in any way possible that's legal. And if they control the law, they're manipulating the laws to benefit themselves. And so eventually you could say, yeah, we'll raise the minimum wage to $50 an hour, and then you'll have 5 corporations that just own all the business. Yeah. Because they're the ones that can handle that burden. So I think we have to collectively as a society have a system where if you're contributing at least 30 hours of your life, even if it's just entry level hours into the system, then that should meet your basic human needs. And as a society, we can create other alternative currencies and use blockchain technology and these things to create different currencies for different needs, like medical currencies, food currencies, transportation, all these things.
If we did socialized medicine in this country the way like every other country on the planet
it would be way better.
And it would also take a huge burden off of companies that have to supply.
But it wouldn't be way better if we did it, because we don't do things to make it better for people. We do things to make it better for companies.
Insurance companies especially.
Yeah. I mean, right now with our new insurance plan, we're paying more money, we're getting less coverage, and they're making a fortune because they're investing all of our money.
Yeah.
So
Dude, they changed our insurance at work, right? And I'm on a couple of different medications, right? So I take Adderall every day, right? And there was an Adderall shortage. So I couldn't get Adderall anymore. And like, it's not that I'm worthless without it, but like I enjoy my job far less when I'm not on Adderall, right? So I went to my doctor and I was like, listen, they're at Adderall, can we switch, right? So I was getting Adderall, like 30 pills for like $25 a month or something. Wow. So then they switched to basically the same thing. It was $240 a month.
Whoa.
And when I asked them about it, they were like, "Oh yeah, you have to meet your deductible first, like what would they call it, like a prescription deductible, and it's a shitty plan, but because it's a small company, but like, and you're what's called a variable pharmacy plan or whatever. So until you meet your deductible, you have to pay 100% of the cost.
And your deductible is like $9,000.
It's $5,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, great. But like when I'm talking to them, they're like, oh, well, let's see if we can do better for you. Like, what's your zip code? And I was like, why does that matter? They were like, well, I was like, people really pay different prices for prescriptions based on where they live. She's like, oh, yeah, totally. I was like, dude, how is that legal?
Makes no sense.
Yeah. Like, it just doesn't make any. I hate insurance companies.
Yeah, well, I hate a lot of the aspects of our system because it's so corrupt.
Yeah.
We need to.
It's all bullshit too. They can't like explain it to you intelligently, and when they do, you're like, that doesn't make any sense.
They should just say, because this is more profitable, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you told me that, I'd be like, all right, fine, bro.
I get it.
Yeah. But then I use that Good RX thing.
Yeah.
And it
I
gets
use
it down
that,
to like $85.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so who's getting the rest of that money? Like, how does that work? And then they were like, well, you can use that, but now the $85 you're paying doesn't go towards your deductible at all. And I'm like, dude, what? Like, who's the fucking guy, the mathematician who sat down and figured out this Ponzi scheme that is like the payouts for everybody so that everybody gets paid? I'd like to talk to him.
Well, it's all the people that are benefiting from it.
Yeah.
All the companies that are benefiting from it. It's not a person. It's a company. And the thing about corporations, that's why I don't believe corporate media. Because your well-being is not in their interest.
No, nobody's
they're corporations. Yeah. Their interest is only about making money. And so like we have to find a way to regulate corporations. We need to regulate the whole system from the bottom up.
Yeah.
You need to regulate the cost of raw materials, the margins and pricing. All these things need to be regulated to eliminate all this inflation. Most of it's artificial.
Yeah.
And it's what happens when you have just a handful of companies that control everything.
Yeah.
So so they can just squeeze us to gain more market share. They can squeeze us to gain more control over our lives. More power. It's really more of a power thing, I think. But so I am hopeful that technology will solve some of these problems, because technology does have a decentralizing effect.
Right, but it's going to
Typically
displace a huge portion of.
Yeah, that's the problem. The transitions can be rough, and so even the experts I'm following, they think 2024 is going to be a really rough year for people, especially late in this year, because that's when you're going to start seeing a lot of jobs displaced with AI.
Yeah.
With this technology.
So like I've always had this idea, like, let's just take manufacturing for instance, right? Like you have XYZ amount of people on your manufacturing floor building whatever you're building, and you decide to go get it all automated using, robotics and AI or whatever, right? So like all these people are displaced. Like, what if like, in order we put in regulation, whatever, in order for you to do that, right? Like, yeah, you can lay all these people off, but you have to pay each one of those people X amount of their salary. They're not going to do shit for you, but you got to pay them X amount of your salary. And like every, I don't know, month, year, whatever, they own like so much more equity in the piece of machine that replaced them.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you're essentially paying rent to the employee for the machine that they have equity in.
Yeah.
I think that would it's
not a bad idea.
I mean, it doesn't fix it, but like,
I even thought about, you could have companies where you just, I talked to one of my business partners about this. Maybe we should invest in robotics, a robotics company where we just have humanoid robots or robotic machinery that we can just lease out to people to let those machines do their jobs for them.
Yep.
Maybe there's like a lease program where the employee is really just a subcontractor that owns equipment that can do this job, and they bring in their equipment and set it up, and they're responsible for maintaining it and just keeping up with the equipment and replacing if it needs to be replaced for the company. But I really think I think once a company reaches a certain size, a certain scale, and it goes public, then I think the monopoly law should require that company to start to diverge and start to spread out. And so then, like a company like Apple should be 1,000 different companies. It shouldn't be one giant, powerful entity. So it's I think each division in that company should be a separate company owned by those employees in that company, and they ensure a certain percentage of that can go back to the parent company. But you need more diversity in all these.
You also need to tax businesses more, like big businesses. Like, I mean, dude, like what was it? Like Amazon paid like less taxes and like whatever the fuck.
Well, they get all the incentives.
Well, they get all the incentives, and then they write off everything as R&D at the end of the year or whatever.
Or if you're not going to tax them, just the whole system could be simplified in a lot of ways, because it is so convoluted to make because of corruption. And
I got to get some of these tax loopholes, man. There's got to be some for me. I mean, I don't have any. I don't own.
Well, the
anything,
tax code changes every year.
Yeah.
Well,
I go to H&R Block. They're not real with it over there.
That's not. That doesn't change. But
They're like, I just like, dude, I swear to God, the woman's using like QuickBooks in front of me. She's like, it's done. I'm like, I could probably do this. But my whole thing is like, I'd probably fuck it up, and they have like the guarantee, like if you get audited, we'll take care of it, we'll pay everything.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, fine, whatever, because I don't have that,
Right. Yeah.
So that's all I need is to get audited. I don't keep anything.
Yeah. It could definitely be done better. But I suspect in the future there won't even be money, any currency, because I don't think you'll need it. I think as technology rapidly increases, I think, like you said, the transition is going to be rough, and it's going to be. We're probably going to go into a really massive recession over the next couple of years.
Gotta get that land.
Yeah.
I gotta get the land, bro. Dude, I look at it every day.
But if we can make it past that, then I think we'll reach a level where the technology has become so advanced it just does everything, and then suddenly there's not like the incentive for power and stuff sort of goes away.
Yeah.
And also the scale of technology. Like we're manipulating matter on an atomic scale. We're manipulating matter with single atoms. Which is unimaginable. It's like we're turning reality into Minecraft.
Yeah.
And so with that type of technology, a lot of scientists. There's what's his name? I can't think of the scientist's name. His team's working on some nanotechnology where they're creating biorobots. But their goal is to create a type of technology that is biological technology that can self-construct itself. So like self-constructing technology. So
like self-replicating, like a cell or whatever.
Yeah, self-replicating and self-constructing. So you could have an entire building that's sort of alive, or it just builds itself. The building builds itself, and then it just hardens and becomes a structure. And so you can kind of see the potential of that type of technology.
Like a coral reef type thing or something.
Yeah, it could be anything. It could, and guys like Ray Kurzweil, futurists, a lot of those guys believe that eventually the technology will start to transform everything into what it is, into what we call technology. Maybe even us, maybe that's what life is. Maybe that's we're just seeing the evolution of life. Maybe life starts out as this biological thing that sort of eats itself as it grows and reaches a certain level of consciousness where it can escape this biology and become, like a higher form of consciousness where it's not constrained to this planet or to one thing. It can just sort of spread out and absorb everything.
And do you think that a situation like that would be more beneficial for like the public at large, or like long term, or like a reset?
I think it'd be more beneficial.
Yeah.
I think because if we stay here and don't do anything else, we'll eventually be gone. We will reset.
I think we'll be gone anyway.
But I think if we can start merging our consciousnesses together and start to become a higher consciousness, I think that's probably a good thing. It's sort of if we can escape our biological needs and desires, I think ultimately that's a good thing. I think the biological element is what really drives all of the problems we have.
I think it
also drives all the positive things too.
Well, but I also think it's like most of what the average person thinks of. You know what I mean? Like the day to day. So like when that's gone, what are they going to be sharing? You know what I mean?
But at the same time, though, it's kind of like, I have this. It's like you can experience the separation of the consciousness and the body. Your body feels like an animal, like it's this thing that wants. It's like this animal is constantly wanting to do all these things, and your mind is like the driver that's restraining this animal. And I think it's the more restraint you have over the animal, the happier the mind is. Because if you lose control of the animal, that's when shit falls apart, and you start to whether it's obesity or any kind of addictions, you lose control of your body, then the mind becomes more like a prisoner inside the body. Whereas if you're in control of the body and you discipline the body, then your mind is sort of like the pilot of the body, and so I feel like the complexity of consciousness, it almost transcends the body. And so I like the idea of a future where maybe we can escape our biological bodies.
Yeah.
Because the body you have today is not the body you had 10 years ago.
No.
So you're not your body. You're your mind. And
well, I would say too, like my mind isn't even the same mind I had 10 years ago.
That's true too. It's constantly evolving and changing. Yeah. So if your mind could be in multiple places at once, that would be pretty fascinating. Like if your mind could inhabit, like instead of you getting in your car, you just are your car.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the car for a minute. I'm going to travel, or or you don't need the car. Like I'm going to go to California today, and you just go over there and hop into a body. Or print out something, or hop into some kind of a robotic system. I think the potential of us becoming just a free consciousness is a possibility. Maybe not us, but humanity.
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll see that kind of thing, but although a lot of scientists now believe that age is a disease. Aging is a disease, and that they can reverse it. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just the breaking down of cellular structures and neural pathways.
And that same scientist I was talking about, why can't I think of his name?
Is it Mike Silver?
No, it's I think his name may be Mike though. Michael Levin. Yeah,
Okay.
Dr. Michael Levin. So he's working on that too. He believes that you can actually reset the cells on a cellular level.
There was somebody else talking about that not too long ago.
David Sinclair is working on that stuff too. Michael Levin's working on regenerative technology that's really amazing. Like his team believes they very well are very likely maybe able to regrow limbs on people like amputees next decade.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that's good for me.
Yeah.
Maybe I can buy that land.
Yeah, well, I don't know, dude. Like you heard Bill Burr's bit about like it's better to have fake legs. Have you heard? Oh, so he was. It was during the Netflix comedy festival. He did what was it like? It was like Friends Who Kill or something was the name of it, or Bill Burr and Friends or something.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Friends
Bill Burr
with-
and Friends,
He does this whole bit about like, dude, you can't even be in the Olympics anymore if you got regular legs. He's like, dude, you see so and so? He's got like 2 fake legs. He's coming through with these sickles. Dude, it's a great bit. You should check it out.
Damn, I hate that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great bit.
Makes me jealous.
But he's like, yeah, just like look at you with your regular ass legs. Like, dude, it's so funny.
That is funny. I shouldn't watch it. Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm an amputee. I don't want it to. I don't want his ideas to end up in my material in the future.
I mean, you can still enjoy it though.
No,
Yeah.
I'll still watch it. Yeah.
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 I mean, dude, like I've heard that from a lot of comics. Like, I don't watch comedy because I don't want to like rip off the bits or whatever.
It is. Yeah. It's
But,
pretty
like,
nonsensical.
That's part of it. Like, I get it. Like, it could just happen if you're like in a riff or something, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, there's got to be a certain level of discipline and awareness while you're on stage. So,
That's
like,
true.
not,
And I'm more of a
not
writer
do that.
anyway,
Plus, if you
so,
watch
yeah.
it one time, do you really think you're going to be able to pull it off as well? Like,
No.
Yeah.
And there's so much parallel thinking.
Yeah.
Anyway, and yeah, we're so connected now. So I've seen, I'm sure you have too. I've seen a lot of similar bits from different comics. I have no idea. Hey, you see it in everything. Like I see it in science too. As I read a lot of science articles and a lot of new studies and stuff, and you'll see a lot of different teams of scientists working on similar technologies, and they're not even aware of each other.
Right. I think a lot of that has to do with available grant money, though.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, there's a collective consciousness. We're all just. I say this thing where like my ideas aren't my own, but all of our ideas are ours collectively.
Yeah.
And so I think and it's cool when I see like some of these scientists meeting each other because of technology, because of the connectedness we have, and watching them have these conversations with each other, and like you just see new ideas being generated, and so I think it's cool to see all the sciences kind of merging, and I think that's a big part of where we are as a civilization. But also, and that's also a thing that makes me hopeful is a lot of the individuals and the teams working on this stuff are pretty decent people. They seem to be a lot of empathetic scientists and people in these fields that do care about humanity, and they're not just out there trying to make profits.
Well, yeah, I think the scientists definitely do. I think it's
a lot of them, not all of them. There's a
it's
lot
just
of
like at
corrupt
what
scientists, too.
level does some company come in and take over the idea or whatever and use it for whatever. I mean, whatever, dude. Like I hate to sound doom and gloom. I really don't give a shit what happens. Like whatever, dude. I've been through worse. I'm sure if it happens, whatever. Like there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
To some level, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in the government. I'm not the a leader of industry or anything. I have really no control over whatever happens. I can make very small decisions that affect my very small life.
It does make a difference though. Your decisions do affect the collective, and I think there's more of you than them. There's more of us than them.
Right, but
So
I'm no leader. I'm not gonna whip everybody up to like make it.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? I'm like, dude, I can't even with you people. You know what I mean? Like,
But you understand the issues and the
yeah, and I just get angry about it. So I'm just like, fuck it. I'm like, whatever.
it does,
Like it was when I was
there's a
drinking, it was
hopelessness
really
to
bad.
it, yeah.
I was just fucking stewing all the time, funneling bourbon. And I was just like, oh, everything's fucked. And I would just sit there and get drunk until like I couldn't do anything, and I'd be like, oh, at least now I'm like not angry. And now I'm just trying to be like, you know what, dude, like it is what it is, and just try to like stay positive. Like, I ate today, I have a car, I can get around.
there's some.
I live in a
benefit to
house,
that.
like
Yeah.
whatever, dude. I used to back in the day when I was like 16, 17, I lived in my car for like 6 months, and like I've just been remembering that a lot. I'm like, dude, you're not living in a fucking neon. You'll be fine. Who gives a shit? Let it all burn.
Right. I get it. Some of that's just being jaded too.
Well, it's just like,
Yeah.
I think you live long. I mean, I'm not, I'm 37, but like you live long enough and you see enough fuck ups, and like there's obvious solutions or like things that are happening, in government, in business, or whatever, like obviously are wrong, unjust.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm not the smartest person on the planet, and if I can see that this is incorrect, I bet you there's 1,000 much smarter, more powerful people who can see it too, and nobody's doing dick about it. And I'm just like, okay, good job, guys.
It's difficult to change powerful systems.
Yeah. And everybody's like, oh, you got to join it to change it from the inside. That shit never happens, dude.
No.
Because once you're part of the system, you benefit from it.
Yeah.
So why would you change it?
You're part of the system that we want to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're all part of the system, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, too. But
so, nightmare times.
Go BlackRock.
Yeah. Big rock. Chunk of land. That's all I need, man.
Maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. Maybe we should be petitioning for companies like BlackRock to take care of us.
Yeah, company towns, that's never been a bad thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you come from West Virginia,
Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, the thing, like the BlackRock thing, like, then you get into a situation like Russia had with that Wagner group where they almost took over.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think BlackRock and Vanguard they have so much power. I would argue there aren't many establishments on the planet that are more powerful than those two companies.
I would agree, but
including
for whatever reason,
our country.
Like, so isn't it too, like, I think one of the biggest core differences, like, in Russia, like, the private military contractors are allowed to operate within the country's borders, whereas here you can't, like the National Guard or the U.S. Army can't call in BlackRock or whatever to take over, like, to address a problem within the country's borders.
Yeah, if corporations like that start to have armed forces, that's terrifying. Yeah, that would be. And I'm not saying that can't happen, because I could see that happening for sure. Yeah,
because now too, like, we outsource so much of our.
And in some ways
stuff.
they do. It's almost like these corporations on that level are nation states without borders. They're nation states above nations. Like, they kind of control nations. And I think a lot of our wars are just those organizations trying to get more market share globally.
Yeah.
And these wars are good ways for them to sort of to access economies that they don't have access to or have limited access to.
Yeah, well, they're trying to definitely access funds. Like, this was a couple months ago. I read something like it was like 18 months into the like Russia Ukraine war, and at that point we had spent more on that. The United States had spent and given more money towards that war than we did the entire Operation Iraqi Freedom, whatever it was, like the whole Desert Storm 2 we just got out of. 20-year war. And so in 18 months, we gave just as much money, if not more, than we spent on the entire war.
Well, that can't be accurate, because
I'm pretty sure it is.
Because we spent like $17 trillion in the Middle East.
I think we're already up to like.
I think we're 180 billion or something, aren't we?
I think we're over that.
Really? I know it's not. I know we spent. I think it's somewhere in the range of $17 trillion, and it's not a direct. That's not direct money spent. But there's economists have added up everything, and it's somewhere in the range of $17 trillion, and about half of that went to private companies.
Maybe it was just an aid then or something,
but you think about that though. That's a good example. Like those two countries, Afghanistan and Iraq, their combined GDPs were only like $240 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we?
And they had free education.
What are we fighting though? I mean, we could have rebuilt those countries and made them great allies and had no war.
Right, but that wasn't the goal.
Oh no, yeah, the goal is just to blow shit up and make money.
Yeah.
It's target practice.
Like people are like, oh, we didn't win the war. I was like, define win.
Yeah, but we blew up a lot of bombs.
Like what? Like
and
what was their
Lockheed
goal?
Martin and all these other companies made.
And it's a big
fortunes.
cash grab every time. Like I think they were trying to give a bunch of money to Israel too with the whole Hamas thing, and it's like, dude, it's like I was trying to write a joke about it. It was like, like they got America's Got Talent, right? You all go in and you do your talent to get your money. Well, It's like America's Got Terror. Like, what's the next big thing? Oh, we're gonna throw a bunch of money at it. And these like people are just not making shit up, but like, oh, this is really bad for us. We need some of this money. Like, dude, you're gonna pay for whatever the fuck in Russia or Israel, and you're not gonna fucking pay to rebuild houses in Maui.
Right. Yeah.
Like, dude, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, we spend fortunes overseas and do nothing here. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say it's $180 billion. Okay, like 10% of that distributed to people who make under $40K a year in the United States would be a game changer.
And also, we're doing it at the expense of innocent people's lives by the thousands. These wars in these regions of the world. It's impoverished countries.
Oh, right.
And so thousands of people are dying, and it's obviously going to just create more problems because if you're murdering people's families, you're just creating enemies.
Yeah.
And when we could go in there and retool this machine to do positive things, rework infrastructures, and try to solve problems we want to solve here, and you've got a clean slate there. You can do it. You can do all these things there that make their lives better.
Yeah.
And help us solve problems here and invest that money into things that benefit us and them, just humanity as a whole. Yeah, it's a broken machine.
Yeah, and with like the Ukraine-Russia thing, like yes, we're not personally doing it, but you think like people
we're still doing it, though.
But people who are getting killed by our shit don't put that together.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, like now we're not involved at all except for all the worst parts. You know?
It's like if you were funding the mob.
Yeah. And everybody knew it, and you know, like people be pissed at you too.
Right. Yeah. You're still responsible.
It's like, dude, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, it is scary. It's like we're not the good guys.
No, we haven't been the good guys for a very long time. Since
time.
World War II.
World War II, yeah. The last real war, yeah.
Yeah. What was it? Somebody, I forget, some local comic used to do a joke about it. He used to be like, you know, like he'd be talking about like doing an open mic at a bar, and like he has this joke about somebody in the armed services, and this guy's like, this young guy stands up and he's like, oh man, I fought to protect your freedom. He's like, oh really? Because you look a little young to have fought in World War II. He's like, 'cause that's the last time anybody in this country fought for our fucking freedom.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just like, dude.
Yeah, but I do appreciate soldiers. It's a travesty what our.
I respect the skill set, not the mission.
Right. Yeah. Well, and a soldier just has to obey because if they don't, it ruins everything. Like they can't question their orders, and then our politicians and our leaders, you know, they.
Yeah, the ones who
they don't
don't get to stick around.
You know, there's no regard for their life either. They're just
pawns.
misused.
Yeah, they're like,
humans.
go ahead.
Yeah, they misuse resources. Yeah, but they're more than resources. You know, they're us.
Well, what was it like? I think like that towards the end of the Iraq War, like most like I forget how they phrased it. It was like most impactful or whatever missions that like we were accomplishing were all done by like special forces guys. So but like this guy was talking about how like there's only, you know, however many groups, but like we're putting all of our eggs in that basket. So these guys are doing like, what do they call it? The op tempo. So these guys are out doing like 4 or 5 ops a month when they used to be doing like 1 every 3 months or whatever. Because like that's just how the war went. Like that's how we were getting shit done. So you have all these other people who are just like basic infantry or whatever, who occasionally, you know, IED, hit by rocket, whatever. But then you got these guys who are super elite, and they're just running them into the ground. And because the admissions process is so high, like they can't build those units fast enough.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But like these guys are just like tired of shit doing it. And like that's how mistakes happen.
Yeah.
You know?
It also makes us weak too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes us vulnerable. Yeah. Yeah, you're right though. We're not going to fix it.
No. So it's like, dude, you know, just get that land.
But hopefully these conversations will fix it. Hopefully a lot of people talking about it will fix it. It looks like, you know, the independent party is growing. Or it's not a party. The independent voter class is growing.
Yeah.
You know, which is good. You know, more people are just they're not being as manipulated. You know,
I
as
definitely
easily
would like to see us go to like
manipulated.
some type of proportional parliamentary system.
Yeah, I think we should eliminate all parties. You just run on your ideas.
Yeah, but I mean,
how would they
people
get money?
But people would still like fall into categories. That's all the parties really are.
I think we need to elect AI to be our elected officials.
Our leader.
It may be better.
I mean, you can't get any
It's
more now.
sort of like all of us being the leader.
Yeah. I think like
until it's not.
you know, the 5 most prevalent ideologies, right? So like right now, what you'd have like Democrat, Republican, Green Party. I don't know. Libertarian.
Anarchists.
No, I wouldn't say they were most prevalent.
No, not most prevalent. Yeah.
You know, humanists, futurists, whatever.
Yeah.
And then based on the proportion of the population that your party represents, that's what percent of a vote your person gets in the parliament.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of our ideas should be. I think the number one.
Also, get rid of just go straight popular vote, no electoral college. That'd be helpful.
That's true. Yeah, I think the top consideration in any governmental decision should be how does this affect humans. And that's
it should be.
The most valuable part of our society should be the people that make up the society. And, and we're the least valuable right now.
Yeah, they don't give
we're
fuck about
we're
this.
reusable tools.
Yeah,
yeah, or disposable tools.
Yeah, they do not. Yeah, it's like almost disgusting how like blatant they are about it too.
Yeah,
I'm just like, dude, really?
Yeah, it's
Like, I'm sitting right here, man.
right. Yeah,
You know I can see you.
Yeah, dude, and hear you.
yeah.
Ugh, it's so disgusting.
You're like, yeah, we wish you couldn't.
Yeah, dude. Like they just want the drones, man. It's very like drones to do all the shit. It's very upsetting. But like again, I don't really see what I could do other than like standing on my soapbox yelling somewhere, you know, like
Right.
which nobody's gonna take well.
Well, just these conversations. So a lot of people having these conversations, and people can see them, and that's really the only hope we have.
Yeah, but nobody's doing anything.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know, dude.
We'll see. Yeah.
That, you know, like, and with all this,
If we can still have this conversation in 10 years, then maybe it went the right direction.
yeah, I don't know. I just want things to get easier for people, dude. Like everybody I talk to
it's too hard.
is fucking struggling, man.
Yeah, it's
And I'm
too
like,
hard.
dude, like it used to not be this hard. You know, like
You're correct.
just to like get by.
Well,
And,
the
you know,
lower-
my bar for getting by is not very high,
Right.
and I'm just like, damn, bro,
The lower class is growing, which is
insane.
yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, but GDP's up.
Technologically, we shouldn't have poverty anymore in this country. In the first world, you shouldn't have poverty.
Yeah,
And we should be eliminating poverty in the third world. You know,
Yeah.
that should be part of the equation. But yeah, I don't know, man. I sometimes things get really rough right before they get better too, though. You know, but those blips can be painful.
oh yeah, and long.
Yeah, and they can be millions of lives
Not
too.
everybody makes it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it can be really devastating for a lot of people. So hopefully we're technologically advanced enough where we don't allow those blips to happen. It's too
at some point, yeah. I mean,
it's too costly, and maybe it's too you know, if it's beneficial to power, then it'll happen. But if it's not, then it won't happen.
right. Well,
That's kind of the way to look at it, I think.
you know, whether it's beneficial or not, I think whether it's adverse to power is one thing. Like,
Well, that's true.
like
yeah.
if you know, yes, it's beneficial for them. Maybe if it's easy enough and we can get it done, fine. But like, they're really gonna fire under their ass when it's fucking them up.
Yeah, and you see it.
Yeah,
Well, that's I think that's part of what we're experiencing right now in the economy.
yeah,
We're being squeezed really hard. You know, there's no reason prices should be as high as they are on certain items.
yeah,
You know, you shouldn't pay $8 a jar for peanut butter.
yeah.
You know,
I
that's,
don't know. I haven't bought peanut butter in a while.
yeah, but you know, when
But
you
I do know, like, I'll leave the grocery store with like one bag of shit, and it's like $100.
yeah, it's crazy.
And I'm like, dude, what?
I bought this soda before I came in today. It was like $3
Yeah.
for a soda.
Cigarettes are still cheap though. In the South,
What's cheap though?
like $6.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, but again, it's all relative, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
like, you know, New York, they're like $25 a pack.
Whoa.
Yeah. So my girlfriend's from Australia, and they're like $50 a pack there.
Yo.
That's insane.
It's ridiculous. And like, she wants me to go. Well, I haven't smoked all month, so I'm like trying.
Oh, that's good.
I'm trying very hard
Nice.
not to smoke cigarettes. But like, if I'm around her family and a bunch of Australians, like, that's not going to work. I don't know if you. I mean, Australians are nice people, but in my experience, they're very opinionated about shit they don't understand. And I'm just like, okay, that's cute, like whatever. But like, you can't even bring them into the country from here.
Oh wow.
You bring in like 2 packs, and anything more than that, you get fined, or they take.
Wow.
And I'm just like, bro, I can't.
Yeah, it's just a plant.
It's crazy to be in Australia with and not be allowed to smoke.
Yeah, well,
Like, dude, I'm in Australia. Please. Let
well,
me smoke.
she tells me too. She's like, I mean, you could smoke there, but like, everybody's gonna give you the dirtiest fucking looks.
Can you grow your own tobacco? You can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With all these technological advances, you'd think they'd make a cigarette that doesn't kill you. That would be nice.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Or they'd just be super cheap.
that would be nice too.
And
But
and-
no, it's still not good because you get the cancer, and you know you
well,
can't
if
breathe.
you want the
so
cancer, get the
expensive to
cancer.
hurt
no, but I want to
yourself,
smoke and
though.
not get the cancer.
Well, yeah, well, that's true. They probably will be able to prevent you from getting cancer in the next. I mean, a lot of the experts I follow that are dealing with those technologies, you know, life extension and age reversal and stuff, they believe that we may have already escaped or reached, I guess, death escape velocity if you can apply the technologies.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of the leading experts in genetics believe that we're not far from being able to start reversing our genetic age. So you just like renewing your skin, regenerating your body and your cells, resetting the cells, And if you can do that, then yeah, you could do anything you wanted to your body. You wouldn't hurt it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but like, would you want to live forever though? That seems like a nightmare.
I think so. I mean, if you're a curious person, you just do something different all the time. You know, like just say the next 20 years, I'm just gonna play guitar for 20 years.
Yeah, if we get the whole feeding yourself and paying your rent shit covered.
Yeah, I don't want to be like
working 50 hours a week for 200 years.
Yeah.
To be an eternal slave.
Yeah, that's probably what they'll go with first.
Yeah,
That would be horrible.
They'll be like, oh man.
Now, if it's like the Matrix, you know, that might not be too bad. If
you don't know it.
If you don't know it,
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
Or even if you know it, but it's this real,
Yeah.
and you don't have to do any of the crazy shit you don't want to do, like any of the boring stuff or
Yeah.
painful
Steak
stuff.
is still juicy.
It's just kind of like a good life. That
Yeah.
might be all right.
I'd be down. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a good life would be nice.
You're not going to get in a car accident,
Yeah.
so. So I don't know. I'm not sure what that looks like. Yeah, but that could definitely. When I saw The Matrix, I was like, I don't know if these guys have it right. I'd kind of want to get back in there.
Yeah.
Especially if I could do what Neo does in there.
Well, yeah.
Fuck, dude, put me back in there, dude.
Yeah.
Have you read this whole it's all over Reddit, this fan fiction thing about how the one in Matrix is really Mr. Smith, the
No.
agent? Oh, it's fascinating. And
Oh,
it makes a lot of sense.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's all over the place, dude. It's pretty crazy. Eric told me about it.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because he kind of figured it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he can be anybody.
He can be anybody. He can be everywhere. He can do all the things.
Yeah.
And like
And he's
Neo's really the bad guy.
Yeah, because he's fucking up the system.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Smith's like this. I hate being here. It smells in here. And it's like,
Yeah.
does he know that? I never really thought.
Yeah,
of
it's
that.
crazy.
Huh.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Dude, I crack down on Reddit all the time. Dude, it's just like the most random shit.
I need to look that up. That sounds.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Did you read the one about Jar Jar Binks being a Sith Lord?
Yeah, dude.
That's a
I've
good
never,
one.
I've
Yeah,
never
that's
seen
good
a Star
too.
Wars anything, so.
Oh, okay. Well,
I wouldn't-
it wouldn't mean anything to you.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. But I've read
It's a
that one. That
similar
was
type of
insane.
idea, though.
Yeah. He's like he's the real bad guy.
Yeah.
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 'Cause like
It's
all the
always
clumsy
the ones
stuff
you
he
least
does,
suspect.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Like all the clumsy flailing he does, it's like actually Jedi mind shit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It was a good breakdown. It made sense.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure having you in.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me.
We'll have to have you
I
back.
wasn't too cynical.
I could keep going.
No, I'm down
but
with whatever, dude. It's up to you. I
I
thought you
have
said
to-
you had to go somewhere.
Yeah, I have to get out of here, but
do your thing.
we'll have you back on though. I'd love to sit down with you for a longer time.
I'm always around.
Cool. Well, dude, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Good talks.
Can do you want people to follow you on social media or anything?
I don't have any social media.
Okay, I get it.
I have
You wanna
Facebook.
Give us your address or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
where's the
Facebook.
bunker at? Yeah.
Well, we're working on the bunker. Right now, we just have the perimeter. But yeah, we're working on a bunker. We're also working on going self-sufficient.
Nice.
Okay.
Saving up for this battery.
So give them a false address or something that's
Yeah.
far away
So
from where you're
Any
going to be.
warnings you want to give people?
It's going to be in. It's
No,
gonna be in Florida,
I'm around
right?
town. You'll see me at the Idiot Box or just, randomly wandering the streets.
Yeah.
The Lidl on Lawndale. I'm there sometimes. That's pretty much it.
Nice.
Nice.
All right. Later, guys.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.